Hey there, Chad here for the AI Content Dojo. And wow, it's been a while since I've said that. Probably what 2 or 3 months now since I've last posted a video on this channel, and I have a good excuse, I think. Many of you already know this, but I kind of did a thing. I kind of got tired of the different tools that were out there on the market, and so I wanted to make my own and kind of put my stamp on what it is to use an AI writer. So I want to introduce you to Chibi AI. A lot of you have asked, what does, why Chibi? Well, one, I wanted a really short, easy to kind of remember name. But the word chibi in Japanese, while being a little slang, is it means small. And that's kind of what I was going for from the very beginning, is a very minimal effect, something that was that at its core ethos is a writing app for a writer, where that means that you do the writing and then Chibi will help you. It'll help you break out of writer's block. It'll give you creative ideas. It'll help continue your thought, give you some serendipity, when you're doing the AI dance, and it kind of finishes your thoughts for you and gives you a little bit of extra. I also wanted to create something that just had one of the most comfortable writing experiences that you can find in any of these online any of these AI writing tools out there, and I'll show you that in just a moment. But this is what you see when you first when you subscribe and you log on. You see it's very minimal, for one, but don't let that fool you. The editor is exceptionally powerful, and you're going to see that in just a moment. So you have the sort of typical things, right? Help documentation, your accounts where you manage your subscriptions, stuff like that. Your documents where you can see the documents that you've already started or have written. And new document. This is the sort of front page menu. You can get back to this menu anytime by clicking on the Chibi robot. At the top here, you have docs and the plus button. That is the docs list, and this is starting a new document. And this menu is on every page of Chibi AI, which means that a new document or your documents list is always one click away. Over here to the right, you have a mode changer. So if the light mode is too bright for you, or depending on the time of day, it's too bright for you, you can switch to dark mode. And sort of vice versa. If you're out in sort of a bright environment and the dark mode's too dark, you can switch to light mode. And so I'm going to leave it in light mode for the rest of this video, but let me show you the editor here. I'll show you the documents list first. Let's go to docs. Now notice how everything is loading just really fast. Go back to the front menu, go to my docs. These are just happening in milliseconds. Go to my archives. It's going to take a second to load for, oh, nope, it's still super fast. The one thing to keep in mind is during this part where you're in your documents list, it might take half a second, a quarter of a second to load in your documents too. Now, right here from your documents list, you got a couple of things you can do. You can delete a document or you can archive it. So welcome to Brava. I'm going to archive that. It's just instantly gone from your active list. You go to your archives. There it is. First one, because you just archived it. And if you want to bring it back, you just click this. Again, instantly gone from the archive list. Go back to your documents list, and there it is. When you unarchive it, it'll go to the front of the list so that you can find it more easily, because it's now the newest one that you're going to be probably editing. That's probably why you're taking it out of the archives. There's a little safety. If you try and delete it, it's going to warn you. You just don't do that. Once a document is deleted, it is permanently gone, so be careful. So okay, let's go in. This is the Chibi editor. Sort of typical thing here, title, body. Notice that all of the writing stuff, right? The title and the body, the content you're going to be working on, is front and center, left, right, or left and right. Left to be right in front of you, first thing, because that's the core ethos of Chibi. You're the writer, it helps. So all the AI stuff is off to the right in all these tools, and I'll explain those in just a second. I put a ton of work. I wish you could have seen the development journey, because I put a ton of work into making sure that Chibi's writing experience was smooth. I'll just put it that way. No jank, no jankiness, where um, basically where like a lot of the tools out there will drop extra, new lines into the middle of your content for no good reason, add extra spaces, punctuation, just weird stuff like that, which I mean, it's not a deal breaker, right? But at the end of the day, it's all those little seconds that you have to go back and fix that content to bring it into your writing the right way, make it a smooth process. It's just, you know, it's just something that just bugged me. And actually, that's probably the primary reason why I actually decided to create Chibi, was because of that jankiness that other apps have. I just felt like there needed to be a certain level of polish and sophistication, I guess, to the writing, because writers need to have a nice flow in order to keep their creativity going and not be interrupted. And so I want to show you that. Let's say that you're in a piece of content here, and I'm not going to pay any attention to the quality of the output for now. I just want to show you what it looks like. So I'm going to delete some of this. Now, one thing I need to mention about the right button, because the right button, it acts a little bit different in Chibi. So the way that Chibi is designed is to augment the sort of AI dance, and that means that this right button, if you're on a new, like if you've ended a sentence and you're going to start a new sentence, this right button, sometimes it'll give you content, but often it'll just not give you anything. It's not designed to start new sentences for you. It's designed to follow a lead. So you start your lead, get to a certain point where you think you're ready for Chibi to take over, and then you can hit Command Enter to perform write. Now, this arrow button right next to the right button, that's actually called the finish button, and it uses the same AI logic as the right button, but instead of just writing as much as Chibi thinks he should write for you, the finish button just writes to the end of a sentence. And that's really important for, you've probably experienced it when you're using an AI tool and every time you hit the right button, it just never finishes a sentence. So you hit it again and you hit it again. You're just waiting for it to actually finish, and then it never does, and you just end up with 3 or 4 paragraphs of content that you need to sift through. I guess you don't need to do that, but it kind of feels like you should, right? With Chibi, you can actually just end a sentence. So Command Shift Enter will run that, and I'll show you that real quick first. Just there you go, and a couple of cocktails to wash it all down. Just finished right at the end of a sentence, just fine, right? And if I take that away, notice that the undo button became available. I can take that away. If I hit the right button, it might just finish a sentence, but if Chibi thinks that he can add more to that, he will. So let's see what he does. There we go. So he added a little bit more. I mean, it depends. You notice that there's no length, output length sort of choice. And this is by design. I want you to just be in there writing, let Chibi help. Don't worry about how much he's going to add. Sometimes he adds a lot, sometimes he adds a little, but it's determined by how well he thinks he can stay on topic for you. And that part is important. Topic is actually something extra special in Chibi too. This box right here, this is the topic box. It's not an article brief. You don't fill out like a whole brief where you're trying to tell Chibi what it is you're trying to write about. You just put your topic in there. In this case, it's the name of the restaurant. But if you're writing about something else, like best ramen in Tokyo, you would put the best ramen in Tokyo there. And you don't really need to go too far. An interesting thing is you might use a tool like Phrase or something to find some optimized keywords, and you could use those keywords in the topic box to help Chibi stay on point for you. That'd be a pretty cool thing to try out and see if he can give you some SEO optimized content just by keeping the keywords in there. And of course, this can be changed at any time throughout your article, so that you can, if you need him to write or if you need Chibi to write a little bit something different than the sort of pure keywords you were using there, you can change them, alter them, swap them for different keywords, things like that as you go through. So you might have noticed that it was a pretty smooth writing experience, right? He didn't add any new lines. He didn't, do anything weird with punctuation, add spaces or anything like that. I'm gonna go ahead and go back and let's do this again. Let's go to, let's see, and we'll just go to here. And I'm going to hit write again. Just kind of watch as he doesn't add any spaces. It was just a short output that time. Let's try again. And I must be at a point where he doesn't really feel like he can continue the thought. So let's see if we can go down to here, do the same thing. Well, he doesn't want to participate right now. I can still show it to you with these other buttons. So I'm just going to hit attention. I'll talk about that, what this is later, but he'll write a bit more. And you just see it kind of just streams in smoothly. There's no jumping around. It doesn't go so fast that it's hard to pay attention to what he's writing. And actually, an interesting thing is if you hit write, watch the write button when I hit write. It turns red and has a little gear going. If you need to stop him, you can just hit Command Enter again, and it'll stop him right in the middle of writing. And actually, I stopped him when it looked like he was actually going to write quite a bit, right? So, well, thanks, Chibi. And in this video, I'm not really paying attention to the quality output or showing how you would go through an article to produce quality output. I'm just showing you the editor experience here. If you do the AI dance, Chibi's going to produce some amazing content for you. Don't worry about that. Okay, Chibi has modes. Let's get into this now. The modes are kind of the different hats that Chibi is going to wear, and it affects the type of, how should I say it? Well, first, it affects the different tools that you'll have available to you here. In article mode, you have things like, these two are special. I'll explain them independently. But you get things like an intro to your article, outlines, headlines, questions about your content. It'll create a list of questions. Now notice to the right of the buttons, there's like a little paragraph icon or a list icon. That just tells you what type of content is going to come out of that button when you push it. Also, in terms of what does Chibi use as context is, you shouldn't think about it. He has a very sophisticated algorithm that helps him decide what it is that he's going to write about or use in your content to write in combination with your topic here. Always have a topic. If you don't have a topic, Chibi's gonna act weirdly, and maybe, he'll probably work some, but it'll depend on what else you have in your editor. But topic is really important, so always keep that. But the way that Chibi determines what to use it's complex enough to where it's not really important for you to think about how far does he look back and what kind of stuff like that. But if you did want to kind of limit him, just like in Shortly, there is the // You can cut off. You can say, no matter what, don't go above this point, and he won't. So in terms of context, you can think of it a little bit as he doesn't go below the key where your cursor is in the editor. But he doesn't just necessarily look just straight up the content to get what he needs. Now, an interesting feature that we have in Chibi is called the Smart Lock. Now up here, this button right here will perform the Smart Lock. And what it means is, let's say I'm here in my article. What is this? The third paragraph. I can come down here and I can highlight this content. And I can smart lock that content. It puts the little curly braces around it. Now that content right down there is purely what Chibi focuses on when he's going to do his writing. So I guess you could say, finally, in an AI writing app, you can actually use forward context. I'm not sure if that's the right way to say it, but context that is not just purely only above the cursor. If you need to kind of maybe connect the dots to something below, you can now do that by smart locking that content. Now you can undo that smart lock, and you can also, this is where things get really crazy. An advanced use of the smart lock might be something like you like this sentence, okay? So you smart lock that, and then as you're going, you really like this sentence too. So you pick that one and you smart lock it, and then you get down to here. You like these two sentences together, so you pick those two, smart lock it. And now what's going to happen is Chibi is going to sort of make a story out of that, top down. So this one will come up here. This one will come first. This one will come next. They'll get joined together, top down, to create the context that Chibi is going to use to do your writing. And that's super advanced. It's something you can play around with and really help you kind of create content really cool. Command right square bracket will remove all of them. Also, Chibi will remind you if you have smart locks on. He'll have down here after you start writing something, there'll be a reminder here, and he'll also have a button available if you want to clear all those smart locks. Okay, so also built into Chibi is we have the paragraph shredder. So check this out. An interesting thing you can try and do in Chibi is you can, let's say that you want to expand this. Let's just say that this is a paragraph that you want to expand or rewrite, I guess, in a sense. We have two scenarios we can do here. So we can highlight, what I do is I'll just copy it so that I have a copy of that same paragraph for later. Come up here to the top toolbar. This button right here is called the paragraph shredder. What that'll do is it'll shred that content down to just a bunch of leads. And now you can use the right button or the finish button to perform different actions against those leads. So let's say you wanted to rewrite that paragraph. You might just use the finish button to write one sentence per. So welcome to Brava, hit the finish button. It might just put nothing there. Okay. Go down to the next lead, finish button, next lead, finish button. And just keep doing this through all the different leads that you got. And what you'll end up with is, in a sense, a rewritten paragraph. Okay, and so then you can maybe just sort of merge these back to be a paragraph. So this would be, in essence, a rewritten version of that paragraph, right? Let me clear that and copy it again. And let's do the shred again. And what will happen if we hit write is he'll generally write more than just to the end of the sentence. And you'll get sort of an expanded version of the paragraph. Right? Notice he's pretty fast. He's snappy. He's witty. He's getting some content for you. And at the end of this, you're gonna have a pretty decently long paragraph. Now, I'm not recommending that this is what you do for all your content. And as you go through each of these leads, like, oh, he's just going. Okay, he got to the end, but this was the right button. He got to the end, but didn't finish it. Let me go ahead and just take that off and then hit finish. All right. And then if you wanted to, you could join these things back. Let's see where we at here. And I'm joining them back because I want to show you something else that's really cool about Chibi. Okay, so all right, so you can compare those. Look, that's a much expanded version of that paragraph. And let's go ahead and let's just join those together too. Now, like obviously that's a giant wall of text. You don't want to show a reader a giant wall of text. And as a writer, you probably don't want that either. So what you can do in Chibi is you can highlight all that. And you go up to here. I call this the mobile cut. And what it's going to do is it's going to chop that down into sort of mobile friendly sort of sizes. You do have to be careful if your sentences are jammed together with no spacing. It might do that to you, but having one of them is not too bad. And what that ends up looking like on a smaller screen would be something like, where they end up kind of looking like that. Not too bad. So yeah, you have a tool there to kind of do a little spacing on your sentences for you. And that's pretty cool. Let's say that you get down to, let's take this away. And let's say that you kind of want some headlines. We'll just do that. And after it gives you some stuff, if you want to select that list, let's say that let's just say that this was an outline, and you're gonna turn this into sections that you're gonna write about in your content. Select that list like that. Hit that list cleaner button up here, the one that looks like this, and it'll take away the bullets and space out the first ones and put the cursor right into the first section, ready to write. Okay, so that's a few of the buttons and stuff. I'm not gonna go too much further into those. I just want to kind of talk a little bit about the modes a little bit more. As you switch through these modes, you get different tools and abilities, right? But this also has a little bit of an effect on the right buttons. Article being sort of the most serious, the most informational. Copywriting gets a little bit more creative, kind of salesy. And persona is designed to help, so that Chibi will help you write persona stories. And so I'm going to talk about two of them, article and copywriting, a little bit more. Persona is still kind of in beta, so I'll leave that for another video or something. So when you're in article mode, there's something important I want to show you. Let's just start a new document, and let's put a topic here like ramen noodles in Tokyo. And the seed of an article is really intended to be sort of 2 or 3 sentences that you manually write. That's about your topic. It contains your voice, your tone, your style, and sort of the subcomponents of what you kind of ultimately want to cover in your article. So you should start with an excellent seed, but sometimes getting a little inspiration to write that can be tough. So put something in the topic box and then hit the seed button, and Chibi will try. He'll try to come up with something. See, now the thing is obviously this is in beta still, and what you're asking the AI to do is take 4 words and turn it into a paragraph that makes sense, right? And Chibi's training is he's trying to make what will be a good seed for an article. Let's see. So travel to ramen noodles Tokyo. So almost see that's it's almost like it kind of. Yeah, that's actually. I mean, it's actually partially pretty good. And this travel to ramen noodles Tokyo is a little weird. Let's just do ramen noodles. Let's see if what happens there. But the seed is something I'm still working on. It's okay. Specifically talking about a certain type, scamming, and then yeah. And anyways, if you're writing your article, what you would use this seed for is to give you a little bit of an idea of what you might write here in the seed, and then write some more. Now, the seed doesn't necessarily have to be something that you would ultimately publish, but it's something that you should write at the top to give Chibi a good start to what he's gonna, sort of use as a context throughout the rest of your article. So let's say that you're in there and you're writing, and you just come to a blank. You just don't know where to go. You need a little help, a little inspiration. That's what the flow button is for. Now, the flow button was created because, like I said, with the right button, it's designed to take off from a lead. So if you try and use the right button, and Chibi might actually write when I hit it. A lot of times he doesn't. So he's doing okay this time, but if you ever run into the point where the right button just does not want to do anything for you because it's on a new line, that's what the flow button is for. It's designed to kind of give you an idea of something that you want to, use in your content. Maybe it'll give you some inspiration to move on. And the rest of them kind of makes sense, right? If you want an intro, you use that. If you want an outline or headlines, use those. But I'm going to skip over to the copywriting mode now because I think there's something extra special here. And actually, let me go ahead and just leave this doc. Now, notice that these 2 documents are red bordered and they have a new icon here. That's a save button. So Chibi does not auto save for you. It's by design. It's to give you the ability to, experiment without overwriting your article with, if the article is auto saving, it's going to overwrite whatever it is you're trying to experiment with. And maybe you don't want that behavior, but also you don't want to lose your content. So on this page, if I tried to refresh, it's going to warn me. It's going to say, hey, there's something you didn't save. Don't go. So I'm not going to go. It's also going to remind you when you're in your documents list, and it gives you the ability to save those documents here too. So I'm just going to hit save. So if I go in here, it's saved. And over here, I don't want this one, so I'm going to go ahead and just let that be deleted. And I'm going to go to this article here. This is about a really cool place in Japan. And I'm going to switch to copywriting mode. I'm going to hit save because you notice that it changed and wanted saving. That's because actually the mode that you're in on that particular article gets saved with the article. So if you go back into it, it's always back in the last mode that you were in when you hit that save button, basically. And I want to show you this copywriting mode a little bit. So you have the standard marketing lingo formulas or whatever. You have like ADA and pass and before after bridge, right? But in Chibi, decided to break them all into their own separate buttons. You ever use some of the short form templates out there where you fill in your product and a description of the product or whatever, and then you hit the compose button or whatever, and you get an aid instead of an ADA, right? Because there's a limit on how much the AI can produce, and so therefore the action just gets left off a lot of times or something like that. With Chibi, you don't have that problem. You can just hit attention. It's going to create something. And then you can hit, okay, now here's something. Notice that the cursor is right at the question mark here. I'm going to hit interest. It's going to go out and think. Chibi put a space there because he knew he was right up against that previous character. Oh, it didn't finish, so now I can go ahead and go up here and hit that finish button so it just finishes off the sentence for me. I can get a desire if I want to. Okay. Didn't finish again, so I can go ahead and just do a finish. And then get my action here as well. Okay. So it did start kind of coming up with something else, but sort of. Okay. So, and the other really kind of interesting thing with that is that you could mix and match, make up your own formulas. Do you want to do a before, after, desire, attention solution? Badass. You could if you wanted to, and you can mix and match them. Now, the other interesting thing is that while you're, this article is not about selling something, and so you could use these copywriting buttons because Chibi's going to kind of maintain the sort of style of the article in some sense. And so this content doesn't really come out as totally salesy. Whereas if the context of the article was more about a product and a service and features and stuff like that, it would come out more salesy. But in this case, I can use these copywriting buttons to add more to my article. And of course, you're the writer. Please don't just generate the content. Pay attention to it, mold it, shape it, change it to meet your needs. But do use these buttons to work fast. It is kind of the point of Chibi. And so at the end of the day, Chibi is super fast. The editing experience is really smooth. You can see that there's a lot of power in those different buttons and tools that you get. The UI is clean, and its output is actually pretty strong. I think you'll see that when you start getting into the tool and you're using it to create your content, you're going to realize that the Chibi stays on point pretty darn good, especially when compared to some of the other tools out there. I hope that you'll give it a chance. I hope that this video was interesting to you. The last few months have been really fun putting this together because I just couldn't. Once we got to a certain point with the development, it just felt like, okay, honestly, this thing is better than I had anticipated when I first started the project. Just the way that things kind of turned out, the custom models that I've built, that the output is it's just surprising. Even to me, I'm the developer of it, and I can't wait to see more people in there creating and just discovering different ways of using this tool. And this is just the beginning. What you see right now is the worst that Chibi is going to be. He's developed to where I'm going to be. His brain is going to be getting smarter over the next few months, so the output is going to continue to improve. This is just the beginning. He's the least experienced right now, basically, and he will continue to learn. And I can't wait to see the progress that's going to happen and the different types of content that you produce and your success around it. And I'm excited. I can't wait. I also would like to thank John Bass. He started a community, the Chibi community. Originally, it was going to be something completely separate on its own, but quickly decided that it might be a good idea for us to join forces. So his community is now kind of what I would say is the officially endorsed Chibi community. And if you have an opportunity, I'll put a link in the description of this video. If you're a Chibi AI user, the community is half free, where all the sort of the support for Chibi, like if you have difficulties with using it, or you need some ideas, or you just want to talk about using Chibi, that's where all the support is going to happen there. If you have billing issues, of course, there's a support section for you to get billing and account issues resolved. But in terms of everything else, as far as support of Chibi, it's going to happen inside that community. And there is a paid upgrade side to that community where John is doing deep dives of using different topics and showcasing other people's work, and just all kinds of stuff to really, really bring a lot to the table for Chibi AI users. And so I highly recommend joining that and upgrading to the AI Workshop upgrade. That's what the upgrade's called. It's called the AI Workshop. And as a Chibi AI user, he's offering everybody 50% off for that. So it comes out to $9 a month for what is basically a coach who is in there just producing today he put out 2 30-minute articles or videos showcasing how to do things in Chibi. And this is, like I said, just the beginning. You can imagine in a few months there's going to be a massive library of help there. So definitely get in there and check that out too. And of course, if you have any questions about Chibi AI, I'd be glad to answer them. I won't be answering any questions about the sort of technical stack that it took to create this. That's going to be my... If I talk about it too much, competition is going to try and steal it. There's a lot. I will say that there's a lot of sophisticated stuff happening in certain cases, in certain places, that I think will make it very difficult for people to do a one-for-one copy of what Chibi is capable of. But I really look forward to growing with you and your AI in your AI writing journey. And I hope to see you inside the Chibi community, because I hang out there too and answer lots of questions, as well as John does as well. So until next time, take care.